everybody up? Yes or no?
It's more dramatic. And I think the general rules will take as much light as we get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, though, for asking.
Good. Got to watch all that awesome rain. Feel awesome. Push the 7 just to come at it. Oh, there it is. All day, just wait. It's surprising. We're getting a 1 out of 1 the other way.
All right, one caveat. We're going to start here in just a minute. It'll be Dwight coming in. Listen, so we know everybody's asking about the number issue as well. Everybody's asking about it. We have every intention of being proactive with press releases and sound, everything later on this week about it. So I'm asking if you don't ask about NFSS right now, they'll just deflect if you do. Okay? We're trying to put the pieces together just to perform and have people that are in place to talk about the number issue as well. Guys, it's just detectives that are coming together. We did this a couple years ago. So, any questions about that? All right, give me just a minute. We'll get Dwight and we'll get started. Thank you all.
You want to do it right here, I can move. So you're not blocking the door. Just
I'm patient, I'll wait on it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today, because of several media requests we've had over the last week or so regarding the shootings that we've had in our community, which we all know is at a rate that none of us are happy about nor want to tolerate. I guess for the last 20 years, I stood before this community on many occasions addressing this particular issue, and unfortunately, it has not changed. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask of me first, and we'll get this rolling?
Yeah, just addressing the data that we get weekly, non-fatal shootings, homicides, year-to-date changes. We're seeing increases in those. Can you address some of that and how exactly LMPD is working to bring those numbers down?
Well, we're at 179 total shootings, period, this year. Of those, 72 have been homicides. We're up about 6% from that total. Last year, we had 67. As far as the total number of shootings this time last year, we had 162, which makes us a little bit over 9% higher on that. So overall, our shootings are up as well as the homicides from this time last year. What are the driving factors, I'm sure, is the next question that we have. And I wish I had a definitive answer for it, but some of the things we're seeing, and it's very simple, but it's very complex at the same time, and that is the fact, conflict resolution. Where back in the day, we all like to refer to it that way. We talked about people would just fight it out and go their separate ways, but today, that's not the driving force. Today, we're dealing with individuals in our community who will soon shoot someone and possibly even take a life as a result of just having a beef. What we're also seeing is a thing called, it's called drill rap music. And what we're seeing is it's specifically targeted to a specific audience about gun violence, period. And a lot of that spills over into social media, where we're seeing a rise in that. When I took this job several years ago, social media was not at the point that it is today. And that's how our young folks communicate, our young adults communicate, and even older adults communicate. That's the way of the world today, and that's what we're dealing with. And when it gets on social media, it is the World Wide Web. That's what we say for a reason, because everybody thinks all of a sudden everybody knows my business, everybody's making fun of me, and this spurs up a certain emotion in folks that they will go out and commit the violence that we're seeing in our community. It's not just rap music. We also seeing it, just as I said, with conflict of resolution. We also seeing it, obviously, beefs with groups, violent groups. Some of you want to call them gangs. It's not in the typical sense where they fought over drugs necessarily or territory. What we're seeing now is just what I talked about. And that is the fact about being disrespected. And then it gets back to other family members of these individuals. Then we have the retaliation shootings that we're seeing in our community. The next thing I want to say is this. It's always asked, what are we going to do about it? And I'm glad you asked me the question, because I'm glad they said a we thing and not what are you all going to do about it. The police is obviously, we come after the fact in many of these situations. What are the factors that drive us to get us there to begin with, that gets our community in the situation that we're in? Well, there's a couple of factors. Obviously, there is a lack of social awareness. There's a fact of economic deprivation in our community that we had a big protest over, and things like that a few years ago. It wasn't only about the violence and police brutality and all of that. It ended up being accomplishing several things. And in the end, it ended up being economics. And when people feel like they're down and they're down to their last dime, they will resort to violence. It's historical, and it'll be with us forever. Now, we have all types of programs that we have throughout our city trying to help mitigate this. But until hearts and minds are changed, this is where we're going to be. But we're going to keep doing it. The men and women who show up here every day and patrol our streets and try to keep us as safe as we can, we're going to continue to do that in spite of the negative things that may come out every now and then. They still get up, go do the job, and try to make this community as safe as we can. Any other questions you have of me?
Yes, as we head into the summer, do you think the violence is going to get any worse?
Well, we're in summer. You know, Memorial Day is kind of like the official, unofficial start of summer. I know it's sometime in June that the calendar actually changes to that. And naturally, when people are out more, there's a chance and a propensity for that to happen more. But also what we're seeing is domestic violence. People in your own household. I think we had a situation a couple weeks ago where somebody shot somebody over a hot pocket. That's somebody that you're living with. And you wouldn't believe the media inquiries that we had over across the country just on that because it sounded absurd, but this is what we're dealing with. And here's the thing, in the end, even though that was a type of situation like that, but we having people just killing people, just shooting them. The number of shootings that we have is just ridiculous. That we're having in the community. The Mayor Greenberg is doing the best that he can, along with our new interim chief, having plans to try to get to the point where we can to mitigate some of this, to be proud of the city that many of us were born, raised, and will die in. That would be me, that's here, and others who are just new to our city. We want to showcase Louisville for what it is.
Back on the topic of social media and how it's sort of a catalyst behind a lot of violence in the community, how closely are you all able to monitor what goes on there? And has it resulted in perhaps the prevention of anything or possibly the quick conclusion of wrapping up a case because it started there?
I think what it does is it makes us aware of, maybe the origin of some things. I don't know that it mitigates it because what you're doing is you're talking about a thing that somebody else may interpret as not being a big deal, and it turns into that. I wish it were that simple, that it's the fact that we were just monitoring and we know what you're getting ready to do and we could prevent it. But that's simply not realistic of what happens. But that is a good question to ask.
Is there any indication that the 3 shootings from this morning were connected?
There is no indication that any of the shootings that happened this morning were connected.
And back to social media, what kind of advice would you guys give if someone's scrolling on Facebook and then see something that might like run the wrong way, that maybe indication? Do you suggest that you tell police, or when does it get to that point?
Human behavior is an unpredictable thing. Just like the heart is a deceitful thing, who will ever know it? And I wish I could just give that type of advice to say, if this happens, do this, do that, and everything will be all right. And for some people, you can do that. But what I simply would say is ignore it. But it's, people say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt you, but words do hurt. And they do hurt from who it comes from a lot of times. And we've seen it in families. I think we had a father kill a son. I don't know what it was all about. But, when you're taking your own son's life in those type of situations, I don't know what we can do about that. But here's what we will do. We're going to keep on trucking. We're going to keep doing what we do to make the city safe. And I hope today that through this, that people just take a moment, take a deep breath before you do something that you'll regret later on in this life. With that, I'm done. Thank you.